Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of April 22nd to the 28th of 2024. Alright, so this week just a few or a couple important events, not a whole lot of aspects like we've seen recently, but still a very important week nonetheless. We do have a full moon on Tuesday. This is going to be in Virgo, which is all about balancing a lot of the more watery, receptive Pisces energy that we've had at the moment. So a good time to do a status check early in the week, maybe make some shifts and changes along our life journey, and maybe getting some insights from that. Now the full moon will be squaring Pluto, so it could be quite deep and transformative, but anything that is about self-empowerment and really facing our fears and reclaiming that power, I think is excellent with this full moon. The other important thing is that Mercury is going station direct after his few weeks of retrograde. This is in Pisces. And so midweek, a good time to just sort of pause and perhaps see what comes in, because the past few weeks there's been some rethinking, some redoing, maybe going back and doing some things from the past, and we could notice maybe some of this energy starting to move forward slowly as we get to the later part of this week. And then at the very end of the week, really mostly into next week, Mars will pass over Neptune, just really adding to that watery energy. All right, so let's go and take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here is the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, April 22nd. And as you can see, we're using the visible sky. So if you notice some of the signs that I just mentioned are different, like maybe you're expecting the full moon to be in Libra, and maybe Mercury station direct in Aries. Definitely check out the link down below for more information, because the visible sky is different from mainstream astrology, and so the sign placements are different. All right, so let's do a bit of a recap, because we did have some sign changes last week. Last week, the sun did start to get closer to Aries. The sun will be in Aries all week this week. And Mars recently shifted into Pisces as well. So a quick recap, we have the sun now, I would say officially this week in Aries. And so what this essentially means is that over the next few weeks, and what will really be part of the next new moon, we'll be focusing on life in the sense of where we can take initiative. Aries is the part of ourself that really wants to take that action and be proactive with things. So good to view life through this way, and we could notice some themes that are good to develop. Maybe life is helping us develop more of this initiative, more of this proactivity, and but all in all, it's a great way of working with the current energy. Having said that, we still have a lot of planets in Pisces, which is a very different energy than Aries. Pisces, being a water sign, is much more about receptivity and spirituality, and more of what you might say the inner or the unconscious parts of life. So definitely a mix, no doubt about it, even with the sun in Aries. And really, it's nothing new though with Pisces. We've had a lot of this energy recently with pretty much all the fast movers here. So nonetheless, though, good to be seeing the value and enjoyment of receptivity, of going with the flow a little bit, of really connecting to our soul in our inner selves with Venus here. Mercury going station direct this week, maybe some shifts of reconnecting with our intuition, maybe our inner guidance, and maybe again some of those things on a soul level that we can be slowly starting to implement now. And Mars taking action in a way that's receptive, right? Making sure that our soul is in alignment with where we're putting our action, where we're taking that initiative, right? And this has been a recent occurrence. So yeah, anything that is a mix between that water and fire, receptivity and proactivity, I think is all in all a great way of working with this week here. All right, so let's go ahead and break it down for each day of the week, starting first here with Monday. Again, we are approaching that full moon on Tuesday, so there is that increasing energy as we approach that, but really I would say all days surrounding Tuesday. Definitely a new perspective on things, as the full moon usually gives us a new perspective on our life path, and maybe starting to make some of those shifts and changes that the full moon's about. So this will be, of course, in Virgo, and the moon will be in Virgo, of course, leading up to that. And so Virgo opposite Pisces is the reminder that while it's important to be receptive in life and to, of course, connect to these more soul-guided things, of course, the physical world and the practical or pragmatic world is equally important. And so to balance out the receptivity, Virgo reminds us to ground it, And I would say with this full moon and really the days surrounding Tuesday, good to implement a bit of that improvement of things, the refinement of things. Really, the Virgo energy, we could say, is the refinement of self. It's the maiden. It's the self-improvement, striving towards perfection, right, in whatever the physical limitations of ourselves or life is, but working within that. And so a great time to do a status check with how our improvement-oriented side is. Anything that's about embetterment, perfection, getting into the details of things, right? Getting into that nitty-gritty energy of Virgo, I think is great. And implementing it consciously and constructively in our life. And really at the end of the day, Virgo's about what we have control over. And fundamentally in life, the only thing we really have control over is ourselves. And that's why Virgo is a great time for things like self-improvement, self-embetterment, personal development, health, diet, routines. Sometimes just getting into that routine and that structure of life is really good. And so this can help balance out, again, more of the nebulousness, more of the dissolving, the sort of just kind of etheric energy of Pisces, and giving us some structure, through those routines, maybe through some of that work, some of that improvement that Virgo can be about. So great time of balancing that, great time of doing a status check with this stuff and maybe making some of those shifts and changes so that our life is more balanced here. So we do have more of that beingness of Pisces, but also healthy doing of Virgo. Rest with Pisces, but also work with Virgo. Letting go of what we don't have control over with Pisces, right? But then focusing on what we do have control over with Virgo. This balance is very, very powerful. It really is the axes of really personal development, spirituality, really the things that can be bringing in more fulfillment in our life, really, especially from a physical and spiritual level. And so great time to be doing that stuff. And of course, this will be a square up to Pluto, and we had the Sun square Pluto last Sunday. So Pluto is the deep planet, and it is usually in a square a time of, in a way, killing the ego a little bit, right? The ego in the sense of, anything that isn't close to our true selves, to our true core. Pluto wants us to get to that true core, and we have a lot of course, layers of surface level things caked on top of us that we've either inherited, maybe it's the status quo, maybe it's from our past, maybe it's emotional patterns, maybe it's fears and insecurities and doubts that we've thought we've had to operate in a certain way in order to survive. And so Pluto strips all that away. And so it's a great time to, again, have a bit of a mini ego death in the sense of being okay with allowing some of these security blankets to be let go, right? Some of these patterns to be let go, these attachments to be let go. And in this way, it can be very empowering because at the end of the day, it's all about reconnecting that true self, as I said. And that's where true power is, because Pluto shows us really where we've been giving our power away to things, to situations, to anything in the outer world, really. And so, by being aware of that, we can then connect to our true power, which is always within us and can only be given away if we choose to. And so this personal empowerment, this willingness to be non-attached, with which usually translates to facing fears and, feeling quite empowered, is a great way of working with this square. So anything that is deeper like that, anything that's challenging ourselves to transform, to empower, to face fears, etc., I think is a great way of working with the full moon, especially with that square. All right, everyone, so that is the full moon there. Then as we start to get into the Wednesday time period, the moon will still be in Virgo, but starting to shift into Libra. And so as we get into the later part of Wednesday, themes probably more around balance. Libra, the scales, is about bringing more balance to our lives. And this could be internally or externally. So internally, through anything that's about seeing if there's any areas of our life that we can be brought back into balance. We can approach perhaps in a way that we see both polarities of it and walk a little bit more of a middle path with these things. And then on an outer level, it can often deal with matters of ethics or morality or relationships where we're having to, again, balance things there. So anything that is more balanced in our life, bringing that into it, I think is a great way of working with Wednesday. And then as we get into Thursday, Mercury will be stationed. So really leading up to that, we've got the slowing down of Mercury, finishing the 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde, and then a pause before Mercury starts to move forward and go direct. So Thursday, great time to pause with things, maybe reflect on the past few weeks. What has been redone? What have we been looking at from a different angle? What have we learned perhaps? And in this way, it can help facilitate the forward movement. So pausing a little bit, but as we start to get to the later part of the week, and especially next week, perhaps starting to implement some of these new perspectives and maybe some of the things that have been a little bit on the back burner these past few weeks are needing to have been redone and re-edited that now we can implement with Mercury direct. All right, so that's Mercury in Pisces, of course. So again, a lot of this is about maybe being a little more receptive in life and a little more faith and trust in life, and anything that's more, again, soul-fulfilling is great to be implemented there. All right, and then as we do start to get into the weekends, we've got Friday, the moon will be in Scorpio. And so Friday and really Saturday, because Saturday the moon will be in Ophiuchus. This is really the deep part of the sky here. So Friday and Saturday, really good to allow that deeper world to come to the surface, much like that Pluto energy, and embrace it and work with it and accept it. The moon is often not only the day-to-day kind of energy, but it's really our inner world and our emotional world. So anything that is about diving deep within ourselves and maybe healing and personal transformation could be also good really this whole week, but I would say even well after the full moon on the weekend, because the moon will be in these deep constellations. And then as we start to get into Sunday, actually by Sunday, we should be feeling the post-deeper energy. Usually after we go through the deeper world, we then start to feel more of that expansiveness. And this is the moon in Sagittarius coming out of the deeper world, the butterfly out of the cocoon, if you will. So Sunday and going into next week, opening our horizons a little bit, being open-minded, maybe a bit adventurous could be a great way of working with Sunday and into next week. All right. Now Sunday, Mars is getting closer to Pisces. It's really nothing new because, closer to Neptune. Mars is getting closer to Neptune. It's really nothing new because Mars in Pisces is a very similar energy, okay, which is again the receptivity. But Neptune is the ruler of Pisces, and so there could be some new beginnings here. I think they're going to play more of a role into next week, but good to listen, see again what comes up, and maybe again setting some of those intentions to align our actions with what's soul fulfilling in our life, or perhaps taking action in a way that is a little more receptive to life. I think is great with the new moon, but it's gonna with this conjunction, but it's gonna come in naturally anyways. But any intentions around that can be fantastic. All right, so that is the week in a nutshell. We dove quite deep there, but it's really quite a simple week astrologically. I would say the full moon is on Tuesday, so leading up to that, we got that building of energy in the lunar cycle. We usually get some awareness around the full moon and maybe making some of those shifts and changes that the awareness can bring. And that's for us to implement the remainder of the lunar month. It's going to be in Virgo, so it's all about balancing that etheric energy of Pisces at the moment with the more grounded work, service, routine energy of Virgo. And that could be a great way of working with this full moon. The square to Pluto reminds us that it's always great to be non-attached to things in life. And in that way, we can have that sense of personal empowerment. Mercury station going direct on Thursday, a pause with some of the things that we've been rethinking or redoing the past few weeks, starting to move forward as we get into the later part of the week. And then at the very end of the week, perhaps a little bit of a new beginning with combining that proactivity with receptivity, which has already really been the case. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you haven't yet gotten your True Sidereal report, there's a link down below for that. There's a free version and a paid version if you want the full report, but definitely check it out if you haven't yet. And thank you again for all of your support, and I'll see you all next time for the next astrology forecast. Take care.